So yes, it's time to talk about the heavyweights, innit? Daniel Dubious, the IBF heavyweight champion, should, in an ideal world, be fighting Joseph Parker next. Big Joe deserves the opportunity after beating Wilder and Silik Bang. It's bound to be a cracking fight, and no boxing fan wants to see Danny Boy take a backward step to fight someone we know he's going to absolutely fucking wallop. However, if he doesn't fight Big Joe, and instead he has to have a tick-over fight against someone from the IBF top 15, there have been fears that it could end up being none other than Derek Chisora, who sits in 10th place. Yeah. Well, thank fuck, it sounds like that's not going to be the case now, and instead Big Dillboy and Big Tits Miller are set to lock horns in early February next year, and I think I speak for quite a few people when I say count me fucking well and truly in, bruv. And by the way, about time we had a heavyweight fight to look forward to. They've all gone quiet, ain't they? Taking liberties they are. Other than Fury Usyk, there's nothing going on. No fight for Dubious, no AJ, no Bacoli, Zhang, Wilder, Caballero. Pull your fingers out, people, come on. They best all be on that February Saudi card, bruv. We're all sick of waiting, ain't we? Anyway, yes, Del and the baby actually nearly fought last Christmas on the Day of Reckoning, but Dillboy turned it down for whatever reason.
I'm too scared. I'm a big fan of Chisora,
I was too scared.
Listen, he's earned the right to say yes or no, man.
Then he gets scared of no, and that's fact.
I'm not exactly sure why. The money was probably decent with it being a Saudi show, so I don't know. Maybe he wasn't ready, or maybe he just had his sights set on Joe the Juggernaut Joyce, which did in the end turn out to be a very good move. So of course Daniel Dubious made the most of that opportunity instead and smashed the fucking gravy out of him, which happened to be the beginning of his emphatic redemption. But anyway, now all said and done, this fight really does make a lot of sense, doesn't it? Apparently we're talking February the 8th, we're talking Manchester Arena or whatever it's called these days, and of course we're talking total carnage. Neither man takes a backward step, neither man comes in with any other game plan than to throw hands like a madman, and on top of that both men have got chins like a Nokia fucking 3310. Bit of solid, rude boy. Now after Big Baby popped for injecting half a boots up his bumhole, it was clear from his first couple of comeback fights that he'd lost a lot of what he used to have. First we seen him up against Bracamonte, which was... yeah, not exactly Hagler versus fucking Hearn. Then after that he returned to beat a bloke called Cardenas. Here we go. Okay, fine. And then it was the rumble in the steroid jungle. Yes, a demolition of Lucas Brown, which, okay, was a decent knockout, but also was a rather slow-paced, drawn-out affair.
And make sure that you get more checks done. It's about prolonging your career in such a short time span when you have these high contact. Get up another big right hand, two big right hands. Miller looking to end the night of Lucas Brown. And Miller unloading down to remain undefeated and finish off the former heavyweight champion.
However, this fight then set him up for a whooping from Daniel Dubious on the Day of Reckoning. And I've got to be fair to him, I predicted Danny Boy to win, but I didn't expect the baby to be as much of a force as he actually was. First of all, he weighed in at a measly 333 pounds. Bloody hell, I mean, he looked like a fucking caravan, didn't he? So I was thinking, well, he ain't going to have the engine to make it through to the end. But lo and behold, he very nearly did. Unbelievably, at that weight, he still showed his trademark aggression all night and walked Dubois down for a lot of it, causing him all sorts of problems. I honestly have no idea how he does it. He was getting tested 8 days a fucking week, so there was nothing fishy going on at the time. This man must just have been born with a naughty engine and some phenomenal stamina. And then it was on to Andy Ruiz in another Saudi show, where he managed to get a very controversial draw. Oh yes, so he actually put down the pies for this one and trimmed down £30 to weigh in at just over £300 on the night. And in a nutshell, it worked an absolute treat. Luckily for him, Andy Ruiz broke his hand in the 5th round, but still, a lot of the fight he bullied the Mexican. His engine was absolutely solid, and to be fair, he was very unlucky to not come away with the decision. So ultimately, as much as his return after a few years got off to a very slow start, he has gradually been looking better and better each fight, as well as now looking in decent shape for once. And to be able to take Andy Ruiz all the way, basically beat him by the by, shows whether we like it or not, the baby is still a bit of a force to be reckoned with. And then yes, we've got old Del Boy. Well, if we go back to the Fury fight, it was pretty hard to watch. I mean, we did know that going into the fight, to be fair. The outcome was obvious. He should never have been in the ring in the first place, but then he went on to fight Gerald Washington on the AJ undercard. And yes, again, it wasn't a great watch, but he'd done just about enough to pull it out the bag. This fight showed, however, that Dillboy was clearly on a sharpish decline.
Just relentless. Coming forward, this is better work.
Good Once again taken well by Chisora. Closing seconds of the round. This is big work from Washington.
Yeah, not the best. And afterwards, we all assumed that retirement was on the cards. It was difficult to see him getting in the ring again, but even more so being able to compete at the level that he would like to. However, enter the juggernaut. Oh yes. And Dillboy put on an absolute display, showing us he certainly ain't done with this game just quite yet. By the by, this fight is very likely to be on Disney, so here's a little Black Friday deal for you.
Fight fans, Black Friday has come early this year, and we're ripping up our prices for a limited time only. Get the heaviest hitting deal of the year. Save up to 33% on all plans and stack up your fight calendar with over 150 fights a year. Live on The Zone.
What a fight we have!
Subscribe before November 29th. Sign up at thezone.com/boxing.
So this fight was a bit of a surprise for many, including myself. I know he can be a bit slow, but the Joe Joyce engine and work rate is well up there for the heavyweight division, and after the Washington fight it was easy to see Chisora having a hard time with this pace. However, he took everything Joe gave like an absolute champion, and in the end he landed the much cleaner work all night to take it convincingly. I mean, I suppose Big Joe not really moving his fucking head was a massive help for Dillboy, but either way, under the circumstances, that was a very good win. Now, present day and what goes down in this little ditty then? Well, judging by recent form, even though on paper you got Dillboy with 2 wins and Big Baby coming off a loss and a draw, from the eye test you'd have to say this fight is pretty much 50-50. We know what we're gonna get. It's bound to be an absolute war, and it'll all come down to who wants it most. However, I wonder if Dillboy may be under the cosh a bit in this one. So he's probably going to have a similar experience to his last fight with Joe, in the sense that Big Baby's going to be coming forward all night, constantly in front of him, and Dill will have no problem landing because the baby don't move his head a lot either. But this man's chin is absolutely unbelievable. Probably because he's got a head like a fucking planet, ain't he? Size of that. But yeah, I know the referee stopped the dubious fight. However, he still didn't go down, and he got clocked a few times by Andy Ruiz, yet wasn't even phased at all. So will Chisora have enough to make a significant mark in him? I gotta be honest, I'm not so sure. I hate to say it, but personally, I could make more of a case for the baby in this fight. I mean, Joe was able to hit Dillboy for the most part, and Miller's faster and possibly more powerful than Joe, so he's bound to find the sweet spot aplenty. Then combine that with his engine, his work rate, and yeah, as I say, Dillboy's possibly looking at a long, hard, grueling night. Although that's nothing he ain't used to, by the way. Old Dillboy, this man, as we know, needs to be nailed down in order to be beaten. So yes, believe me, I hope Dillboy does the bizzo. But as we know, age certainly ain't on his side these days. He looked absolutely shattered after a few rounds against Joe. Had it been a few years back, I'd have definitely said Dillboy wins this fight. But I just feel like Big Fatty Miller, who's in a lot better shape all of a sudden, may just be a lot to handle for a declining fighter. I hope I'm wrong, but we shall see. Anyway, I've certainly talked bollocks before, so I could be talking bollocks again. Either way, I'm double frothy to see it. Let me know your thoughts on the fight below, and bon voyage for now.